Hey guys, it's Mountain Walk, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about walls. That's right, we got a Pauper deck tech thingy, and boy, you've got a lot of walls coming up. This is a pretty sweet deck, um, and it's going to play some walls. All right, this deck is sweet. It's really sweet. It just plays a huge amount of walls and not a lot of lands. And it does crazy stuff with them. It's so awesome. I love it. And the deck is super cheap. Why is that great? Because I like cheap decks. It's fun. And then it makes it easier for other people to play cheap decks. You all just play these cheap decks and it's sweet. And there's lots of weird stuff. Holy moly, there's so much weird stuff. You might know some of these cards, right? Like say Llanowar Elves. Everyone knows what Llanowar Elves does. Or maybe something like Quirion Ranger. But there's a bunch of cards in here you're probably not going to recognize. So yeah, so let's actually go over basically everything outside of the basic lands in this deck, and then we'll see how the deck plays and what's going on, and yeah, see how it all fits together. All right, so we got all this stuff is mostly a mono green deck, but some of the cards will let you filter or produce a non-green mana. And we only have a few forests, but of course our super cheap mana dorks help enable us to run super few lands. So Quirion Ranger, of course, doing heavy lifting in this department since the mid 90s. Very sweet. I love Quirion Ranger. It's like it's got she's got like a, I don't know, she's got a certain thing about her. The art of the girl, the elf girl on Quirion Ranger. I'm trying to figure out like what exactly kind of thing she looks like. She looks like a kind of, I don't know, maybe she's the manic pixie dream girl kind of archetype or whatever, right? I don't know. Maybe she's the mid 90s I have really short hair girl. I don't know. Anyways, that aside, and of course, yeah, we got a ton of creatures supported by Winding Way, Lead the Stampede, just a couple forests, and the sideboard. We'll get into the sideboard a little bit later, but yeah. So yeah, $25 total for this deck. Even less if you're not even look at the sideboard. There's like, what was that, like $10 there in the sideboard? So it'd be like $15. Can't get much cheaper than that for a Magic deck. Yeah, so like everything in here is cheap, 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 baby. Cheap. Cheap as heck. All right. So first off, let's go ahead and look at the mana, or at least the mana dorks, and see how that all works out. What do we have here? Again, a lot of this stuff you guys are probably already going to know. Um, Jaspera Sentinel is a very recent card from Kaldheim. This is a big player in Standard. You think, oh, this is just kind of a dorky thing that doesn't do anything. It's actually very good with Magda in Standard, making treasures and all sorts of cool stuff. But yeah, this is basically a mana dork that has reach, which is, again, if you need to block flying stuff, it's pretty sweet. This thing also stops all sorts of fairy tokens, things like that. So against the fairy decks, you know, even if it's not producing mana, it can serve as a blocker for things like spell stutter and stuff like that, which is quite cool, quite cool. Um, and of course, we have Ceruli Caretaker, which is also a wall, right, or quote unquote a defender, and it does basically the same thing as our good friend Jaspera Sentinel, also producing mana of any color, very nice. Oroki Leaf Colors are one of sort of mana filterer, just having a ninth one of those kind of effects. And it doesn't have Summoning Sickness, so you can just produce a bunch of mana and then filter to whatever colors you need. Tinderwall, of course, well, it's a wall, and it's, you know, it's kind of a wall ritual. Um, it can also, I don't think I've ever used its last ability of paying a red to sack it to deal 2 damage to the thing it blocks, but hey, whatever. I don't even know what the heck is going on. Is the guy in the picture setting the trees on fire? And then there's guys, like a horde of Valduvians behind him, and they're being set on fire by the tinder wall, right? Is that what? That actually makes sense now that I say it out loud. All right, anyways. And then, of course, Manic Pixie Dream Girl Quirion Ranger. Um, yeah, there you go. She does exactly what you think, right? She's very good with our combo cards, which we will get to in a second, producing lots and lots of mana, and also, of course, enabling, like if you only have, say, like one land in play, you can return tap the forest for a green, return it to your hand, replay it, tap it for another green to play 2 drops and things like that. So these sort of typical Quirion Ranger tricks it's been doing since forever, right? That we still see in Legacy Elves, that now we currently see in Modern. The modern Quirion Ranger, of course, has great art too. Beautiful art, good stuff. But again, no more asides, I promise. Here's your like 1 mana mana dorks, and some walls and all sorts of extra stuff. So you're probably like, what the heck are you talking about? How does this deck win? What's going on here? Why are you playing so many creatures with defenders and walls and stuff? Well, let's talk about that. That's right, baby. We're going to be making walls straight out of Rise of the Eldrazi with its defender theme for its draft archetype. There's a bunch of really cool cards that worked with playing a bunch of walls, and that's sort of what we're doing. Overgrown Battlement taps for a green for each defender you control. So obviously every wall has defender, but not everything that's a wall um, is a defender. Or did I have that backwards? Anyways, Axebane Guardian being exactly what I'm talking about. It has defender, and of course it has basically the same text as Overgrown Battlement, but of course it does let you change it up into any combination of different colors, which is great for all of our combo-y stuff. So you can produce just gratuitous amounts of mana with Quirion Ranger, or multiple Quirion Rangers and a bunch of defenders. So that's very cool. Or you can go infinite, and that would be with our good friend Galvanic Alchemist. So you can put Soulbond the Alchemist with Axebane Guardian, or you can, if you had an Orochi Leaf Caller in play or something, you can also do it with Overgrown Battlement by um, filtering the mana, of course. And so once they're soul bonded together, just tap. Obviously, you need four creatures with defender in play. With the alchemist soul bonded to them, tap, and you'll get like a green every time, or whatever colors of mana. And then, yeah, go infinite. So what are you going to do with that infinite mana? Well, you're going to pump it into a Valakut Invoker, which is sweet, because this can, well, it can kill your opponent. It's a great mana outlet. Or you can use Secret Door as another sweet card. So this card's sweet because it is, again, it's a decent blocker early on, but as well as it can venture into the dungeon. I saw this card and I was like, are you kidding me? No way. So what you can do is you get infinite mana and you pump it all into Secret Door. And yeah, you venture into the dungeon. You'll choose Lost Mine of Phandelver, although you can choose a bunch of other ones. And what you can do is you go Cave Entrance, Mine Tunnels, Dark Pool, and then Temple, or Cave to Goblin Lair to Dark Pool to Temple, or whatever. Doesn't really matter, but what you want to get is to Dark Pool. Each opponent loses a life, and you gain a life. So it doesn't even target. So even if your opponent has hexproof for some reason, you can kill them that way. So another sweet way to kill stuff. Secret Door, of course, has other utility as just being a big blocker, and yeah. So yeah, being able to use these, Adventure in the Forgotten Realms cards, right? The Dungeon and Dragons cards. That's kind of fun. That's kind of cool. You know, I like that idea. That's pretty sweet. It's pretty sweet. I don't know. Is it flavorful for all these different colors of walls and everything else to do that? I don't know. I'm gonna say it is. It's very flavorful, and I'm never wrong about this stuff. And we got some more stuff, some random stuff. So let's go ahead and talk about Tuk Tuk Rubblefort. This card is pretty interesting. It gives all of your stuff haste. Now this is sweet because it's a great way to well, kill your opponent randomly, right? With things like Annoyed Altasaur or Ulamog's Crusher or whatever. If you just got to go to I'm beating down with stuff, I can't combo off for whatever reason. This can give your stuff haste. Or if you are comboing off, you can do it on one turn um, by, well, all of your, like if playing more walls, tapping them for mana, drawing more cards, that kind of thing. Or your mana creatures, tapping them, letting them do stuff. You know, all that kind of good stuff, all that kind of good stuff. So it does let you sort of combo off on one turn if you have to. It is just another wall too, also for block, and it has reach, so this can block flyers. Quite good against the tempo decks, so that's nice. And of course, right, Ulamog's Crusher, again, just another big beater guy. It's a great way to just have to, if you're just going to kill someone and you don't have, like, you're not able to combo off, this will pretty much destroy any board position with Annihilator, and then obviously quickly kills them as well, so it's not even an easy card to chump. Mold Drifter, of course, is, well, it's just a big flying thing that can block flyers, and you can use it, you can evoke it as a divination just to draw to, or you can just play it late game as like a flying draw to guy. So just another card to fill things out. It's okie dokie. And then, of course, last and certainly not least, we have Winding Way and Lead the Stampede. These cards draw you a bunch of cards, especially in a 14 land deck. You're going to be getting a lot of creatures out of these. Quite a few. So, yeah, to help you refuel, help you against attrition stuff. So, real good there. All right. So one of the nice things is that your cards kind of have a lot of text against aggressive decks. Your walls can block. That's right, they can block. Walls do a lot of blocking. So that's pretty nice. That can help you against some of the faster decks. However, you got to be careful for combat tricks. So I guess against any of the stompy decks, you don't want to lose your walls to giant growth or like your overgrown battlements or something like that. So you got to be a little bit careful and see like what kinds of cards they could potentially have if they're gonna, like if you're gonna block and they like, are they gonna burn it too in addition or whatnot? So watch out for that. But just having these things be walls is pretty nice. And of course, this deck really, like a lot of the other super creature heavy decks, like the Slivers decks or Elf decks, in Pauper, Winding Way, and Lead the Stampede, do a lot here. They draw you a ton of cards for very little mana, and I mean a lot. So that's very, very good. Yeah, I mean, not much to say there. These really help bring the deck together. Really help sort of kind of the glue in some ways. So you're never just like, especially this deck, because a lot of your cards, obviously you can't beat someone with walls unless you had Rolling Stones or something, right? So yeah, your card drawing spells, great cards. Definitely don't want to get those guys countered. Then we have Wall of Blossoms, not ever printed as a common. I was wondering, I'm like, why doesn't this deck play Wall of Blossoms? And if you can believe it, this card was always printed as an uncommon, even all the way back in Stronghold. So yeah, very sad, very sad. I love Wall of Blossoms. It's such a sweet card. And of course, in the sideboard, there's all sorts of different things you can play. I mean, especially since you can produce different colors of mana. Tons of different stuff. Again, just the sideboard that we have is just kind of a sample, just kind of depends on what you expect. But yeah, you can do all sorts of different things. So that's pretty nice. Also, just talking a little bit about stuff like the sideboard, for example, what are the Drift of Phantasms for? What's the Freed from the Real for? Well, Freed from the Real is a very good card because it lets you, again, combo off very, very easily. Another way to combo off with your Axebane Guardian or Overgrown Battlement. Obviously, the problem is, of course, it's not very good because, well, it's a creature enchantment. So if you play that on a thing, there's a good chance you can just get blown out by removal. So that's not super great. But you can also play the Drift of Phantasms also in the sideboard to tutor for it or any of your other combo cards or whatever. So that's kind of interesting. It's also a lot cheaper, right, to combo off with Freed from the Real because it's just a blue instead of 3 mana. But yeah, so you can drift to Phantasms, transmute it 4 freed from the reel, which is again pretty nice against matchups where you just need a combo out very quickly, or they have no or they have very little creature removal that can interact with you, or they just don't play it or whatever. And of course, Drift of Phantasms, pretty nice because it's a big flying defending wall, and it can transmute for all parts of your combo. Very cool, very cool. What a sweet card. So yeah, this deck actually is very similar to L's, like where you're gonna dump your hand, and then you use like some off-color cards, like in L's case, they play all sorts of blue cards for card draw and things like that, and then Dispel on the sideboard for combo matchups or countering key spells they're trying to disrupt them. So this deck plays very similar. You're gonna empty your hand super fast, reload with your draw spells. But the nice thing is this deck is not really vulnerable at all to things like Electrickery or any other 1 toughness killing things like what is it, Suffocating Fumes, the Ikoria Black Sweeper, the instant speed one that the mono black deck plays. Not that great against this deck. Everything has a pretty big butt, you know. They are walls after all. It does kill your Quirion Ranger, which is bad, but pretty much everything else is fairly resilient to like these 1 or 2 damage sweepers. So that's pretty sweet. That's actually a nice reason to want to play this deck over something like the Elf deck, which is certainly more explosive, but it is more vulnerable to hate, I believe. So yeah, this deck is really, really cool. There's a couple different things you can play. Some of them play more Cascade stuff or whatever, but I like Ulamog's Crusher, so I'm playing the list that I posted there on the thing that the guy, I think it was like a 5-0 in a league on Magic the Gathering Online. So yeah, pretty sweet deck. But yeah, that's it. Not much else to say here. Pretty sweet deck, pretty simple. Play your walls, combo out, and if not, make a bunch of mana and, kill him with an Ulamog's Crusher. I mean, you can even kill with a Valakut Invoker with just like dealing 3 damage a turn or something if you don't have a way to go infinite. So that's always kind of nice. So you don't even have to have like the combo. You could just produce like 8 or 16 mana if you had 2 of the battlements or say a Quirion Ranger and a battlement or whatever. Produce a bunch of mana, all that kind of good stuff. So yeah, pretty cool, pretty sweet deck, pretty simple to understand, I think, and you get to play with a lot of walls. When was the last time you played with a lot of walls? That wasn't that commander deck with the dragon from Legends, right? The one that made you want to play with a bunch of walls. Wall combo, baby. But yeah, that's sweet too. That's a sweet deck. But yeah, so that's it. That's it for today, guys. So this is a very, very smart, very big brain deck. Obviously, you have to be a connoisseur of Magic the Gathering to want to play a deck with basically only walls. I mean, you have to be pretty powerful. But yeah, so that's it, guys. So thanks for stopping by, and have a great day.